What was the creepiest thing you witnessed that made you believe in supernatural stuff? I was in my room and headed to my parents' bedroom. From the edge of my vision I saw my brother sitting on the couch, so I kept walking. Then I remembered my brother doesn't have a shaved head. I looked back and there was no one there. I was 21, looking for a new apartment/room to rent, and had an appointment in the morning to meet a guy I found on Craigslist who was renting out a room. I told my mom that I had an appointment the next day. That night I had a dream that I went to the house. He led me inside and showed me the room, and then when I walked past the stairwell that led to a basement, he pushed me down the stairs. Then he tied me to a bed. I woke up sweaty and obviously freaked out. I looked at my phone and my mom had sent me a text a few minutes before saying, "I'm having a weird feeling. Don't go to that guy's house, he's bad." Not sure if supernatural like ghosts or just intuition, but it certainly felt like something was keeping me from going there. I didn't go obviously. When I was very young, I had an imaginary friend named Samantha. I vividly remember playing dolls and stuff with her and all that kinda stuff. One day when I was like 5 or so, I asked her why she would never be at my mom's. My parents are divorced and have been forever, and Sam's responded with something along the lines, "I can't, your mother will remember me. Don't talk to her about me," and me being young and stupid was just like, okay, and went back to playing with dolls. So after a while I remembered this when I was out of my imaginary friend stage, and I talked to my mom about it. She got terrified and made me shut up right then and there. After a while longer, we finally talked about it. In high school my mom had a friend who committed suicide. Her name was Samantha. After that I've always believed in supernatural stuff. When I first married, my grandmother let us live in her old trailer since she had moved but couldn't sell the property. She felt close to my grandfather there. He died in the master bedroom, heart attack. Anyway, my husband was abusive and beating me. One night I ran into the master bedroom and shut the door, but it didn't have a lock. My husband beat on the door for an hour before giving up. It wouldn't open. I'll always believe that was my grandfather helping me. Moving shadows that weren't being cast by anything. Creepy. And the way my cat would look at them in utter horror. And anytime the shadow was around, the fire alarm kept going off. Also speakers that weren't plugged in would start playing static noise. Pretty tame but weird. My dad wasn't home, and it was just me, my sister, and my mom. This was during the day and the way our living room was arranged you could see into the dining room. The dining room light was off, but out of nowhere it turned on. All three of us were in the living room and no one else was home. We are like, WTF. After a few minutes it turned off. We are like, WTF again. It happened a few times and my mom commented that it was her deceased brother. Died as a teenager. I did not know him. Looking over us. My sister said something like, "Well, tell him to stop that," and the light immediately turned back off and didn't turn back on again. There is probably some kind of more reasonable explanation, but it was weird and kinda creepy. This will probably get lost in the thread, but it was when my wife was about 7 months pregnant. We were both in the bedroom and she asked me to turn off the bedside light. I was about 5 or 6 feet away from it, and she was sprawled out all pregnant like on the bed. Within a few moments of her asking me, the light turned off. We both heard the click of it too. We just kinda shrugged it off, but it still weirds me out to this day. 2 things. 1. Right after my grandpa passed, his nightly routine continued. Trailer door would open and shut, then open and shut again a bit later. Having his smoke before bed. 2. A few months ago I was laying on the bed at my mom's house, maybe dozing, not sure. Someone, unseen, was lightly stroking my hair. It continued as I woke up, and I felt someone beside me. Then it was gone. I still can't even lay on that side of the bed. Early 2000s, 13 years old. House phone with no caller ID. I was home alone and had locked myself in my parents' bedroom to feel safe when I received several phone calls from a stranger with a gruff voice. The stranger repeatedly asked me what I was doing. I was watching The Simpsons, so I told it I was watching The Simpsons. Then the stranger says, "No, what are you doing locked in your parents' bedroom like a little bitch?" I freaked out and phoned my family for help. "Brother, Station states away. Parents? 3 hours away. Sister? 2 hours away. Cousin who lived with us. At work for another hour. Whatever is calling and knows my specific location and that the door is locked is calling in my perfect isolation. As an idiot 13-year-old, I don't think to call the police. My family says it's fine. No one is after me. Probably just a prank call. The stranger calls a final time. Says, "Why don't you open the door for me?" Right as my parents' locked bedroom door is bombarded with heavy, banging knocks. The phone is dead. I'm crying, praying, cursing. Eventually the knocks subside. Eventually I step outside. No one's there. I grab a knife and clear every bedroom. No one's there. Every window and door is locked. To this day, I've no fucking clue what called and knocked. I just hope it never happens again. I was a teenager reading in the living room one day when my mother came out of her bedroom looking shaken. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she was laying in bed reading when she distinctly heard an old friend of hers, Helen, say, "It's okay, honey." They were very close, but hadn't spoken in about 6 months as Helen lived in another state. Freaked out, she called Helen's house a couple of times. No answer. Helen lived in a rural area, and so on a hunch she called the local hospital and asked for her, whereupon she was put through to her room. A nurse answered and asked who she was, and Helen's husband then came on telling my mother she had passed away 10 minutes earlier from an aggressive cancer that had come out of nowhere a few months before. Helen hadn't wanted to worry my mother, so she didn't tell her. No way to fake it, no reason to. Witnessing the whole thing was direct proof for me there was some kind of afterlife I hadn't believed in until that moment. No idea what to think now. I'm not religious, but there is something.